Howdy. It is Friday, and I am Michelle at Moksha Grace Coaching, and I am here with you today to talk about a couple things, but we're going to have a little vocabulary quiz to a point. No, we're just going to talk about words. Words matter, and the things that you say matter, the things that you don't say matter, and the meaning and the feeling behind what you're saying really matters and honestly makes all of the difference. And so we are going to talk about what people do and don't do that can take away from exactly what they are meaning to accomplish when they're interacting with other people. So, have you ever known someone that just uses certain terms and phrases all the time, and it takes away the meaning, it dulls it, right? So I'm sorry. You walk up to somebody, you open the door. I'm sorry. What are you sorry for? You just got here. Some people say love ya, and it doesn't really mean anything. It's just a way that they say goodbye. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about what could really be behind it. And then I'm going to share something with you all at the end, a special that I want to make sure you all have, so that you can break the habit if you find that you yourself fall into this trap. So, moment of presence, that is why we were here. And in just a minute, we are going to take some deep breaths together while we're waiting for other people to get here. Just a little background on me. The reason why I'm here, the reason why I am a coach, is because I am absolutely passionate about people being the best version of themselves, who they are truly meant to be, whoever that is, but just to be happy with themselves. And that means a total love and acceptance unconditionally of who you are as a person, and also of what it has taken for you to become this person that you are. What have you had to go through to get here? And we're going to I like to talk to my clients about that a lot, because that's what helps us let go of all of the baggage and the burden that we carry with us. So I don't want to get too off track, but I share aspects of my journey and how I've been able to manage this, the different tools I've been able to use, give those all to you and help you customize them so that you can apply it to your own life and to your own world. And so you too can move forward and progress without having it take you as long as it takes others. It took me. Just kind of help you fast track yourself. So we're going to bring ourselves into the moment. So if you would, we're going to take 3 deep breaths. We're going to hold at the top, and then we're going to do a nice slow exhale. Okay. So deep breath in. And then long exhale out. And think about your day as you take a big deep breath in. And how many times a day do you hear, I'm sorry, whether it's from you or from someone else? Slow exhale. And if it is that it comes out of your mouth, big, deep inhale, what are you apologizing for? And slow exhale. Excellent. Thank you. And thank you all for being here and joining me each week, because, bringing yourself into the moment, giving yourself a moment of just being is really important. And if that's the only thing that you do, I hope you listen and I hope you get some guidance. But if all you do is just bring yourself into a moment of peace, then that's really good and really cool. And I'm glad that you allow me to do that with you every week. So let's talk about some of these overuses of some terms that used to mean so much. So, and there's been lots of shows and movies that, will talk about, the use of some of these words, like literally, right? Uh, awesome. That is awesome. Is it as awesome as the sun rising and shining out of nowhere and we have no control over it? That, because that's awesome. So is the iPhone really awesome, or is it just really cool or neat? Uh, so it's putting some things into perspective, bringing them back into a somewhat reality. When we say that's amazing, right? There's tone behind it too. That's amazing, or wow, that's amazing. Like, almost like a question, like, I didn't think you could really do it, so that's amazing that you were able to. But again, amazing is a big loaded word that you would think would be, about something that's miraculous. That's another word, miraculous, or a miracle, that's taken out of context and totally overused. But today we're going to talk about specifically, I'm sorry. So I've known people in the past that the first words out of their mouth as they would walk in a door, right? They're running late and they sit down. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm late. I'm so sorry. Or they just spoke up, but then they say I'm sorry because they said something and they wish they could swallow it back down and take it back. And it wasn't a bad thing. Maybe it was just at a meeting. Those people at meetings, they say something they feel in the moment, and then all of a sudden they see everyone else's reaction and they're worried about people pleasing, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry I said something. So what I want you to think about is, what do you think is really behind this behavior? Whether it's you, whether it's somebody else. And let me say right now that we are not judging. This is all about observing yourself and observing someone else so that you can understand where it's coming from, right? Because if you can understand where it's coming from, now you have something to work with to try to change that behavior in yourself. You can't change someone else's behavior. Absolutely not. That is not your journey. It is not your circus. It's not your plan, right? That is not what you're here to do. But you can observe and you can understand where they may be coming from. So that way you can accept whatever it is that they're trying to really say. So, what does it mean when someone is constantly saying, I'm sorry, for reasons that they have no reason to be sorry for, right? Can it be that they have a doubt in their self worth? Can they have low self esteem? Are they just always making up excuses? Because excuses are like, beep, everyone has one. Are they that type of person? So, where is it coming from? And, I'm sorry. Do you remember back in the day, and I may be aging myself, but I don't care. Back in the day, like, for a partner, and it used to be very stereotypical that they would say, oh, men never say I'm sorry. Remember when I'm sorry was so loaded? And it was such a big deal when someone actually said, I'm sorry. And it had some weight behind it. It had some meaning behind it, emotion behind it. But nowadays, people throw it around just like they throw around love ya. And so it dulls it and it takes away that the specialness, if that's a word, that it has, or that it used to have. And so instead of always saying I'm sorry, one, get curious, right? If it's you, why do I always feel like I have to apologize for everything that I do? Oh, I'm sorry I didn't vacuum yet. I will admit I do that. I still do that sometimes. I'm sorry I started to eat without you. I'm sorry I cut you off and in line. That one is that one should be used if you're cutting people in line. Uh, so there are real reasons to say I'm sorry, but because we overuse the I'm sorry, the real times it doesn't mean as much. It may to the person you're saying it to, but can they feel what's coming from you? What's in your heart? Because if you're saying it all the time and it's rolling off your tongue like anything else you may say, like hello, if that's your new hello, that's a problem. If it's your new mid conversation, that's a problem. If it's the way you say goodbye, that's a problem. So getting curious as to why you're saying it. But remember, we are a reflection of what is in front of us. So if someone else is consistently saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, are we projecting some type of an energy that makes them feel like that's what we're expecting? Is it on us? Are we projecting something? Can we look at that energy for a moment and just confirm, okay, is it me? Is it my energy that makes them feel like they have to apologize? Do they feel like I'm expecting something from them? Because then we can take a look at that and say, well, have I presented myself that way? Because remember, it all goes back to we can't control anything outside of ourselves. The only thing that we have control over, and we do, is our emotions and our responses to things. But with that being said, if we're constantly reacting with I'm sorry, then that's a problem. So then we have to look at that and go, okay, why do I feel like I have to constantly apologize and make up these excuses? And then we can dive into that and just get curious. When did this start? Did it start after you were broken up with? Did it start after your kids went away to school? Did it start when you had kids and you had to leave your career? When did you start to feel like you needed, that you had to apologize all the time? It's really interesting. And it's better when you write this down and you journal it, because then you can actually take a look at it and you can start deciphering where it came from and when, and that then allows you to get rid of it. So does all this make sense? Does anyone have any questions about this? Some people, it's used as an excuse to justify behavior they aren't willing to change but want to deflect, like someone who is chronically late. Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing: if they choose to chronically be late all the time, that's on them. What can you control in that situation? If you know that your friend, your loved one is always late, are you just going to start every interaction with them mad? And then they feel like they have to apologize. So you're already starting with them kind of retracting, like, I'm sorry, I'm late. Versus, thank you for your patience, right? Much more powerful. It's our judgment, or what they feel is judgment, because we cannot decide or have control over how other people feel about us. So if they feel like we're judging them, then they need to look at that. And that's another reason why people say I'm sorry all the time, is because they constantly feel like they're being judged. Why? Get curious about that. And if this is you, like it used to be me, like it's been some friends of mine that I've had, it's all about getting curious. Where did this come from? Have you been judged all your life? And if so, no blame, no shame, but let's get rid of it and let's dump it, because that baggage is going to hold you back. But you got to identify it first. You have to identify it first. Yes, and it becomes a habit. And then it's not, it's disingenuine, right? It doesn't mean as much. We all have that friend that says love ya. And when you see love ya, do you feel it? Do you actually feel it in your heart from them when they say, love ya? Now, if they say it with some emotion, sure. But if they're walking out the door, love ya, versus I love you. It's all with the tonality and the inflection and the intention, the emotion behind it. So I'm not saying to not ever say I'm sorry. There are definite circumstances where I'm sorry is appropriate. But that's if there's something to actually be apologizing for. You just broke somebody's favorite vase. I'm sorry that I bumped into it. That makes sense. But there's also ways to turn it around and alchemize it, because it's one of my favorite things to do is flip the switch and tell a different story. So, what I have for everyone is I put together a little worksheet, and it is something that you can put on your desk. It is something you can put next to your bed. It's somewhere you can put in the bathroom. It's something that you can put in the kitchen to remind you of better ways to thank people for accepting you as you are. So let's go through a couple. Instead of, I'm sorry I'm always late, or, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I got stuck by the train and then I dropped my keys. And that's not the way to start off a nice lunch. How about, thank you for your patience and thank you for waiting for me. Thank you. Thank you is so much more powerful than I'm sorry. And you are up here, right, on a different vibration frequency than an I'm sorry for the wrong reason. The I'm sorry for the right reason is meaningful. I'm sorry for being so sensitive. What? If you're sensitive, you're sensitive. If you're emotional, you're emotional. Why are we apologizing for being ourselves? So flipping that would sound something like, thank you for giving me space to tell you how I feel. Thank you for accepting me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for just being here with me. Thank you. Nothing else has to come after it, actually. Another one, I'm sorry that you have to help me so much. That's all full of, I'm a burden on you. And we all have those people in our lives that we have to help. That's what being in service is for. So why should somebody feel bad about that? If a lot of us have aging parents and those friends that they do need extra help. I don't want someone to feel like they're a burden, because now they're taking that on themselves, again, judging themselves. But I want to be there out of the goodness of my heart. So if they're saying something like that to me, I'm sorry that you have to help me so much. Am I putting out that they're a burden? Am I happy to be there? Or am I conveying something different? Once you clear that out and that it's not what you're putting out there, then you can observe what's going on with them. And you can remind them, thank you for being here, doing me this favor. That would suffice. There's no apology needed. Thank you for allowing me to be in service to you. Thank you for allowing me to be here. Thank you for being strong enough to ask for help. These are all wonderful things. I'm sorry for talking so much. Oh my goodness. That's somebody like feeling like as if they're the sun and they must constantly being told that they're shining too bright. That's crazy. That's crazy. So thank you for listening to me. Wow, I must have had a lot to unload. I appreciate your patience and allowing me to let it all out. Wow, I went on a rampage there. Thank you for understanding. We don't have to apologize unless there's something to actually apologize for. Because I'm sorry is becoming just another one of those words. So, what I love about this worksheet is it gives you space on the bottom to observe yourself. And when you hear yourself saying that I'm sorry's for reasons that don't necessarily make sense, you can write it down and then you can alchemize it yourself. You can flip the switch and you can look at it and go, okay, what would be a better way of saying that? And how can I add thank you to it instead of I'm sorry? Now, again, there are times when I'm sorry is definitely the right thing to say. And if you don't know already, and if you've been following me for a while, I can't imagine that you wouldn't know, but Ho'oponopono is one of my favorite things to say and do and help cleanse that internal cleanse, because it is, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And it's just putting it out there to the universe. It's not even necessarily directed at any one person, but if I'm bringing negative energy, I am really sorry. And I hope that everyone around me forgives me for my crazy negative energy. And I am just so appreciative and I love them back, because it's all about love. And apologies, I'm sorries, a lot of the times, most of the times, if you're not really apologizing for the real reasons, it's actually coming from fear. Fear of not being accepted, fear of being put down, fear of disappointing others, fear of judgment. So your homework is just to observe yourself, others, no judgment, take the emotion out of it. If you go over to mokshagrace.com and join my email list, I will be sending everyone this worksheet so that you can start using it yourself and really put into practice what we're talking about. This is how I did it. And the reminders being everywhere around the house certainly helps, because it's very easy to fall into our old habits of, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, I cooked breakfast first. I'm sorry, I'm in the way. I'm sorry. It dulls it. Stop dulling it. Give it back its power. That's what we're here to do. So thank you for joining me. I hope that you've been able to tune in on Wednesdays at 12 with my co-host, Carrie Lewis. We've been doing stripped down healing from the illusion, or healing the illusion, not from the illusion. It's actually from, but the healing the illusion. It's a great show. We go on with no agenda and just start talking about what comes up. And my goodness, we get into some deep conversations. We do have some planned guests coming up, so be on the lookout for that. And I am really happy that you all are here. And just remember that every day you have a choice. You can either wake up and have a really good day, or you can have a really bad day. But it's in your power, in your strength, and you get to choose. So choose wisely. See you next week.